Good morning. Welcome to Live to Inspire. Today, our guest is Miriam Laundry. She is a TEDx speaker, best-selling author of children's book and children's educational speaker, and also a Guinness Book World Record holder. She's joining us all the way from St. Catharines, Ontario. So she's from Canada. So welcome, Miriam. How are you doing this morning?
I am great. Thank you for having me. This is exciting.
Thank you so much for making time. So let's dive in with your recent project. The book was a bestseller. You co-authored with Jack Canfield.
Yes.
Of Attraction Success Principles. How is that whole experience?
Well, I'll tell you, it was a dream come true for me. So this is the book you're talking about, The Big Bad Bully with Jack Canfield. Jack Canfield has been my mentor for the last 10 years. So to be able to co-author a book and work closely with your mentor is a dream come true. So it was a very exciting time, and it still is. We have a second book coming out next year. So it was incredible. I got to learn from the master firsthand. So it was an amazing experience.
That's amazing. I think Jack changes many lives, and we have a lot of common friends too. And
yeah, twinsies.
Thank you. Like my daughter read it, and she's like, who's she, Dad? It's really interesting. And I'm like, I told the story, and she's like, and she loves, she had many books like Jack autographed, so they get excited every time.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. So I know Jack had an impression on you in terms of how you're writing the books or how you became an educational speaker. But I know there are some trigger points in our lives that kind of like trips everything and puts us on a path. What inspired you to find that path for yourself?
Yeah, for me, it was, it's going back to 2012. I had already heard about Jack. I had attended one of his seminars. My husband was really into going to see a lot of speakers, Tony Robbins. We enjoyed that. We enjoyed the positivity. And in 2012, the day after my son was born was a horrible day. It was the worst day of our lives. We lost our niece, our 17-year-old niece. She died by suicide, and everything changed then. It was a difficult time for my family, and it was extremely difficult for me. I had just given birth the day before, and I was not in a good place. And luckily, my husband noticed this, and I just couldn't come out of it. So he said, "Why don't you go back to that week? We had just been the year before. Why don't you go back and see Jack Canfield? Just go by yourself, leave the baby. I'll take care of, we have 4 kids, the 4 kids, you go." So I took him up on it, and I went to Breakthrough to Success. This is 2012. And that week changed everything for me, because I came into it for a second time, but I was thinking more in terms of what happened to my niece. What can I do so this doesn't happen again to my kids, to other children? And I just kept thinking all these great things Jack's talking about, all this positivity. Well, this stuff should have been taught to us when we were younger. I appreciate it, but I wish it would have been taught to me, to my niece, to my kids, when they're younger in schools. And on the flight home from that seminar is when I wrote a quick story about one of the things I thought was important. And it was, how can I teach my kids to let go of the word can't? If they let go of that word can't, then they're going to know to go for things. They're going to know that tomorrow's a new day. You know what I mean? I needed to bring it home just very simply. So I wrote a story about a girl letting go of the word can't. And that's how everything started for me. That's what got me into becoming an author and wanting to make a difference in children's lives.
That's an amazing story. I'm sorry for your loss. It's been a while, but that's
thank you.
Put you on a different path, and you're doing amazing work. And I saw a couple of your other books, I Can series, and one of my kids' teachers actually sends those in emails like I am and I'm loud, like these kind of phrases, and they practice it in the class.
Oh, that's so good.
she's only in grade 5, and I was surprised when I saw that. And my daughter loves it.
That's great. And it takes a teacher who's aware of those things, right? And I think it's becoming a little bit more popular to see those kind of things in schools. But I mean, I didn't see that. I wasn't seeing it from my kids' schools. So I'm happy to see that people are more aware and they're talking about all these things, affirmations, helping children really believe in themselves, right?
Yeah, it's a lot to do with the mental health awareness from the early
Mm-hmm.
childhood, and
Mm-hmm.
building that confidence, and by giving them the foundations, by listening. And I didn't, listen to those things when I was a kid, and reading your Big Bad Bully. Do you want to share a snippet about the book, like what the book is about?
Yes, sure, of course. So the Big Bad Bully is a bully story with a twist, is what I say, because we see a young girl that has been bullied her whole life, her whole school life, starting from kindergarten to grade 6, and finally she wants to put a stop to it. And the twist is that she gets the courage to face her big bad bully, and she comes face to face with herself in the mirror. So she has been the one that has been bullying herself in the form of her criticism, her judgment, her negative self-talk. And I was inspired to write this when my daughter was in grade 6. And one day she was talking to me, not really talking to me. She was standing in front of a mirror in my bedroom, a full-length mirror, and saying things like, "Mommy, why is my hair so frizzy? Why are my legs so short? Why do I have so many pimples?" And she just kept putting herself down, and nothing that I would say was making her stop, until finally I went up to her and I said, "Just stop, you're bullying yourself." And she just went quiet. Finally, she could think about it in a different way, because we all know how bad bullying is, and that's something they're taught in school so much, not to bully somebody else, but we're never talked about it in the way that we could be doing that to ourselves. We are our biggest bullies, right? We criticize, we judge ourselves, we let all this negative self-talk dictate our lives. So it was a way for her to pause and think about what she was doing, and from there a great conversation started.
It's so hard to get away from the perception. You know, I was born in India and I wasn't looking like this. Some of these kids used to call me a monkey, and I used to get upset and want to fight with them, but I was cornered and kicked in my guts.
Wow.
It's sad thing, but also I was fired up by that. Like, I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
show you who I'm going to be when I grow up,
Yeah.
and worked so hard. But it's not the same with everybody, and I just hope many kids see that differently. And I have these conversations always, like with my kids, almost like a daily basis. Don't compare
Good.
yourself and don't judge yourself. But
That's that's the thing. It's so easy. And I think it's worse now that the comparison game is a game you're never going to win. Right. And I think kids have it even more difficult than we did, because they're constantly on their phones. They're on social media. They're seeing what other kids are posting, and people are putting out their best work, right? Their best photo. They take hundreds of photos and then choose one and then filter it. So it's that comparison. And it's just so hard. It's so hard for
yeah,
kids and adults, wouldn't you say?
yeah, yeah, totally. All you see is I woke up like this picture, but that's been edited
Right.
100 times with makeup and everything.
Mm-hmm.
More recently, I'm on TikTok because my kids are on it, because they're there, because their friends are on it. There is a clear trend. They're literally crying and recording these videos and putting it out for help. And
Mm-hmm.
there is a drainage that I feel when they don't get likes or comments or paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
And all I see is they're just missing that love. Like, the people in their family, they're just not feeling it. Probably their family is caring about them, but that's not their recipient too. They're more tuned to what's happening online.
You're
Um,
right.
it's scary. I
It,
go and
it,
comment, and what can we do?
so I mean, the thing is that it starts early on when kids are young, right? Like by the time a child is in grade 5, they have these negative thoughts and they've made a decision whether they are pretty good looking or not, whether they're smart or not, whether they're, athletic or not. So we really have to guard their minds, help them guard those thoughts, talking to them with affirmations like that teacher was doing. But self-esteem comes from feeling lovable. You just said they don't feel loved, right? Self-esteem comes from feeling lovable and capable.
Mhm.
So we need to fill them with those thoughts by telling them, right? Affirming the things that they do, talking about their character, not always about looks, but affirming what they're doing. And actually, Jack shared this in an interview that we did about the book. He said one thing you can do is put 2 photographs in their bedrooms. One photograph of them doing something they're good at. It could be playing soccer, playing volleyball, piano, something that they're good at, that they can feel that they've accomplished in their bedroom. So that's going to be a reminder that they can do that, right? Feeling the accomplishment. And then the second photograph is a family photo, them in the middle, just happy, so that they feel that they're loved. They see in a photograph. It's simple things that you can do. Of course, telling them that you love them, showing them that you love them, but that's just a little extra that you can do. I always remember that with my kids, lovable and capable, lovable. How am I helping you with that?
Yeah, a lot of my friends, in the same circle, they do amazing with their kids.
Mm-hmm.
Not pushing things on them, but just educating them and showing them what this about being alive and be happy,
Mm-hmm.
especially with families. I want my kid to play for NHL and he's struggling with it, right?
Yes. Yeah. So it's you really have to listen to what the child likes and make sure that it's something that the child wants, right? As opposed to us parents putting that in them, right? And letting them shine in what it is that they like to do.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that they have to be the very best at it, but there's a lot of happiness that comes from progress, from learning, right? So the more that you can let your child experiment with things, different, it could be instruments, sports, whatever it may be, that really helps. And the other thing that helps, you know about this, but the mirror exercise, we added that at the back of the Big Bad Bully. This is something that Jack teaches in all his seminars, and it's something that I teach when I go into schools. So it's 3 simple steps, and it's basically looking at yourself in the mirror every evening and talking to yourself in a positive way. So you do 3 things. Number 1, you stand in front of a mirror. Number 2, you appreciate yourself. You list all your accomplishments for the day, any risks you took, any commitments that you kept. So you're reminding yourself of all the good things you did that day. And for a child, it could be as simple as, I woke up in time. I didn't, today I practiced piano. I didn't get yelled at by my teacher, or I didn't fight with my brother or my sister. So it's just reminding them of all the little successes they had. And then number 3 is to finish by saying, I love you,
Hmm.
because they also need to feel that love from themselves. And what happens, so the suggestion is that you do this for 40 nights, every night before you go to bed. So those negative thoughts, those positive thoughts are taking the place of those negative thoughts that you would be having.
Hmm.
So it's really powerful for children, and they find a way to make it enjoyable. At the beginning, it's a little bit awkward, as it is for adults, but it's about building that habit.
Yeah, it's almost like listening to that song and dancing when nobody's watching us,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Like we just come out so natural and be in the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's so important. It's so important.
Totally, totally. My son, he's 13, and because his kids' conversation, he has a struggle writing and reading. He just can't focus. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just paying attention to what he's doing and what he's capable of. Like last week, he just opened up a desktop computer, figured out the parts, went to the store and ordered those parts and wants to build his computer. I
Awesome.
wasn't seeing him doing that, but he was pushing himself to do certain things that he's comfortable with it. And I'm totally okay with it. Like, I'm not, you got to do this
Yeah.
and you're not doing this, like, no conversations like this. It's beautiful to see that because my father was a teacher and a different kind of upbringing, and I never
Hmm.
wanted that for my kids. It's just traditional orthodox skill way of doing things.
Yeah. We're not all meant to be the same, right? We're not the same. We all have different interests.
Yeah, totally.
That's great.
So you told me there is something work in progress. I know, you had your transformation, you authored books, and you are an educational speaker. You go to schools and speak, right?
Yes. Yeah. So I have 4 books. So I go in and I do a presentation, a little workshop based on the book. And then I read the book and then I do my presentation based on the book. So the first one is about teaching kids to let go of that limiting word, that can't word. Second book is I Can Make a Difference, all about how they can make a difference using their times, their talent, their time, their talents, and their treasures.
Mhm.
Third one is about being themselves. And then the Big Bad Bully is all about changing those inner thoughts.
Awesome. That's
Mm-hmm.
amazing. You can share those things. But often this is a lot of work. Like, what gets you going on a day to day?
Well, I told you that everything changed for me in 2012, and my why is I don't I don't want that to happen to another family. And I really believe that we need to get to kids when they're young. So my big drive is to make a difference in the lives of children. My kids who are now getting older, but then children everywhere, wherever I go to school, whoever can pick up my book and read the book, I love that because I'm helping them in some way. I want to write books that empower children.
Mhm.
And then the next thing that I've realized and what I'm doing is that I can only get to so many kids because it's just me, and I basically put 1 book out a year. So now I'm helping other aspiring children's book authors who want to make a difference in the lives of children and who have an empowering story. So I help them put their books out. Because if there's more books like this, then we're going to be able to reach even more children.
I mean, that's amazing because books practically transformed our world
Mm-hmm.
by reading, and some of them became like documentaries and movies. The impact is always been transforming in different ways. So thank you for encouraging other people to write and following their passion and find their why and share that with kids. Really appreciate that. And with your Guinness Book World Record, how did that thought came?
Well, that came from a desire to want to make a difference. I was sitting at one of Jack's courses. I continue to go back because I'm empowered and I'm inspired to do more. So he had us write down our breakthrough goal, our big, hairy, audacious goal. And
Yeah.
I wrote down I wanted to empower 100,000 children to believe in themselves. So this is when my first book had come out. And I'll tell you, I was so scared because I had never wanted something so big. And I thought 100,000 people is a lot of people, so it forced me to think big. And I did my calculations. I was not going to be able to do it just going to schools. So probably about a month later, I kept asking myself every day, okay, if you're going to do that, how are you going to do that? Think big, think big. And the idea came to me to go for a Guinness World Record and organize an event where we would reach 100,000 people. So that's what I did. The record that I have is for the largest online book discussion in a 24-hour period. So I aligned it with Mental Health in Canada. It was I have the record as of May 7th, 2014, where we had schools in Canada and in actually 26 different countries participate. People would read the book with their children or in the classroom, and then everybody would go online and leave a comment. Tell me what you can do, what you're going to go for after reading the book. That's how that happened.
Not an easy task by any means, but congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
I love how everything is connecting with your why, the purpose. I just love it. And if you recall, like one of my BHAGs was Hope for 1 Million Kids Foundation,
Yes.
Empower 1 Million Children. And I did reach out to you and you gave me some suggestions what to look for and how you did it. So I really appreciate that. Since then, a lot of things happened. I haven't got there yet, but that's my
Mm-hmm.
like 10 years work in progress now.
I have no doubt that you will get it, because I can see that that's a big why for you. And when you have that why, that's what gets you going. That's what wakes you up early in the morning to keep going, to do the next project, to reach more people, more children. So I know that you will do it.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate you. Like anytime I reach out, you always get back and say, this is what we can do or how to do it. So is there anything else you want to add to the audience?
Well, yes, actually, there is something exciting happening. So I shared that I'm helping aspiring children's book authors put their books out there. So Jack Canfield and I have teamed up, and we are doing a training. It's called, we just came up with the name, The Making of a Children's Book, with Jack Canfield and myself. And that will be July 21st. So it will be a 90-minute training sharing what we did to get the books out. So, people can go on my website and sign up for it. We don't have the information there yet because it's early, but if you sign up for a newsletter or follow me on social media, you'll be able to see that.
Mm-hmm. That's
Yeah.
amazing. I know some of my friends wants to write a book, whether it's a children's book or not, but there's always grains of wisdom from Jack's.
So much
So
wisdom.
I highly encourage people to go and take a look at the website and about the event. Is there a cost associated with it, or it's just free for anybody to attend?
No, it's a free training. It's a 90-minute training. We're going to be talking about the 3 pillars that make a good children's book, and then we're going to dive into one aspect of each pillar. So just sharing information, because you know my why. I want to put more children's books, good children's book out there, so that we can impact even more children.
Yeah, that's amazing. I will share those book links and website links in the conversation. But good seeing you, and from the bottom of my heart, you inspire me. I love seeing your posts and your conversations with Jack, and I just tune in sometimes. And you became part of my why in certain ways to have that inspiration. If she did it, I can do it too.
Oh, if I did it, you can absolutely do it. Absolutely. And let me know how I can support you with that goal. That's a great goal.
For sure. Thank you. Thank you so much.